Yo, Snapchat. So on the weekend I was on a mystery box party tour where we basically were, on a bus going around to different pubs. And after 10 hours of drinking, I had a sudden realization, I had a good So each of these breweries we went to were like brand new spaces I'd never been to in my entire life. First time I've ever been. And I live within maybe 2 hours of these spaces. Yeah. So at one point, me and my good mate Tristan were talking about this and how there's all these experiences and kind of like realities out there that everyone's living that we don't know about, and everyone's living their own life. So both of us have massively been into this concept of the hive mind, like kind of like super collective intelligence, where you, at the micro level, you have very small interactions, but on a macro perspective, you cause massive complexity. And so if you just take like where you live now and do kind of like a 2-hour radius of driving distance, there are like countless people, experiences, and places that you will probably never experience or see in your life. And so obviously when you expand that out to the Earth level, and Earth's only a tiny part of the entire universe, there's too much shit for you to possibly experience in a lifetime, or in an infinite lifetime. And so this is a pretty obvious fact, but it has interesting consequences on how it affects those people, because individually it means that everyone has experienced something completely different, so their worldview is very different. And this is why any type of top-down planning, top-down structure, top-down organization, top-down rules, all of that stuff is just a really bad idea, because those people have very different worldviews. I mean, every business, government, organization, and project and product should really be designed from a bottom-up perspective to actually enable that kind of emergent flourishing to occur. And that really just stems from the idea and just the fact that people, there is too much out there, and that their lives, their experiences, their backgrounds are completely different to you, meaning their algorithms are completely different to you. And also, if you can walk into a pub that's less than 2 hours drive from you, and you've never heard of the name, you've never been there before, and the people in there you may have never seen before in your life, and you may never again see in your life. And that's worrying for the spread of ideas and thoughts and knowledge and just experience. For innovation to occur, I think it's when we have a mashing of different ideas and people from very different backgrounds. So then we started talking about the whole occultation thing. So using AR glasses, we can kind of just have them sit at the table. We can have a discussion between two different people that have never met each other before. So as Tristan and I were talking about that idea at the table, it would have been cool if the internet, I guess, was like listening in and kind of they just instantly teleported someone via AR to chat to us, one or two people. That'd be awesome. But then we had this idea that, maybe the AI could go out and basically learn from these groups, almost like gain a collective and the average of all of their thoughts and experiences. And so rather than teleporting one individual from that particular group that you want to that table, they could actually, the AI could actually show a digital avatar of an aggregate of those people. And that AR avatar hologram sitting in front of you, it'll look a little bit cartoonish, but a little bit real. You'll be able to have a conversation with it, but it'll represent the aggregate of whatever demographics you want in the world. And when we get to this world where everyone's recording everything they do and say, then these avatars can basically aggregate the actual words spoken by these particular groups of people. So if you want to talk to everyone within pub culture, you can just talk to them. Or you could be like, I want to talk to the aggregate of, say, 26-year-olds who live in Newtown, who are bearded hipsters who love craft beer, but they're also actually Donald Trump supporters. How cool would that be? The other cool thought from all of this was that this basically becomes a new search engine. When you search for Google, you actually want an answer instantaneously, and you want the real answer, the right one, to be the first result. But when you're having a conversation with a hologram avatar sitting in front of you, like an AR that looks like a real human, you don't expect instant answers. You just expect a back and forth conversation. It doesn't have to have answers. I mean, when you're talking to friends, you're not expecting them to know everything, it's just like a weird kind of organic conversation, which is great because everyone learns from each other. And the AI would be learning a massive load of information, like way more than Google would be learning where you're just typing a phrase into a search box. This is like it learning from humans in real time. And this is not even mentioning the idea of being able to change the environment and the context and the place and the room that you're in, which has a massive effect on your thought and your contextualization of memory and ideas. Maybe in the very near future, every friend group, every conversation will have its own hologram AI avatar, so that you got your glasses on and it's just always someone sitting there that you can talk to.